Somebody brought up a good point last night saying that we should educate the customers on what we like to see and don't like to see whenever the vehicle comes into the shop to make sure you're taken care of easier. My number one pet peeve is cigarettes. I don't want to smell your cigarettes all over the place. I don't want to see your cigarettes all over the seats. Sometimes there's old men that come in that smoke like a chimney, and they got ashes all over the dash, all over the window ledge. They got them all through the center console. It's so bad inside the vehicle, I can't even breathe to work in there. I've sent vehicles away to have them cleaned and charge the customer if they're okay with it, just so I can work inside the vehicle. I really, really, really do not like that. That's one huge thing for me that will put me off on working on your car, and it'll be a bad experience for both of us. Another huge thing is when I'm working on the car, if I'm fixing it and I have to test drive it and you bring me the vehicle and it's the gas light's already on, and sometimes I have to drive it miles upon miles upon miles to verify the repair, that doesn't help me out at all. It makes the situation very bad, and sometimes I can't do a thorough post-trip repair, post-trip drive to make sure everything's fixed. If your gas light's on and it says you have 7 miles to E, or if you're already on E and it says you have 0 miles left, that's not going to work for me. We need to have some fuel in that vehicle when you drop it off. That ensures that I do my job correctly when I test drive the vehicle. Another thing when you bring your vehicle to the dealership is to make sure you have your wheel lock key in the vehicle. And if you don't have the wheel lock key in the vehicle, then disclose to the dealership so they can write a note on there that your wheel locks have to be extracted in order for us to work on your vehicle. If it's something to do with your tires, a lot of times customers will come in and they don't have their wheel locks because their kids or their husband or them or somebody misplaced it, and then we have to take air hammers and extractors and everything else to try to get the wheel locks off of it, or refuse service because we can't get the wheels off of the vehicle and you don't want us to destroy your wheel locks. And if you don't know what a wheel lock is, it's a special lug that goes on the vehicle, and it stops people from stealing your rims. And if you bring the vehicle to me at the dealership and I can't get that lug nut off of there because there's a special key that we don't have, then either it's going to get extracted and ruined and we're going to have to charge you for a regular lug nut, or you're going to have to take your vehicle and that part of the service may not be done because we need to get the wheel off. If you want like an oil change and rotate, I got to get the wheels off to do that. You get the point. Another thing is if you get kids and stuff like that, we don't have a problem with that. If we're not working in the back of the vehicle, we're not going to be back there messing with your children's stuff anyway. Or if you are in your vehicle a lot and you like to throw your wrappers and stuff like I do in the passenger seat floor, like on the passenger side floor, I clean up my stuff once a week, but I would never take it to somebody and not clean all that garbage and stuff out of there. If you know somebody's going to be working in an area where your children leave their toys and drop their food and all that other stuff, it's nice to have customers that have some consideration and actually clean all that stuff up, and maybe just do a quick vacuum if you can to get all the garbage and stuff out of where we're going to be working, because that's not technically part of our job. Our labor op and our build and stuff into our data time that we have to charge you to do that repair doesn't take into consideration removing customers' garbage or children's toys or items or things like that. Just the respect thing would be nice if a customer would actually come in and have that stuff taken care of already so we don't personally have to deal with it. It's just a nice, courteous thing to do. I think another thing that is important is when we go to get in your vehicle, realize a lot of us are big old burly guys, that we're not necessarily little skinny minis. Taking that seat and having it jacked up all the way into the steering wheel and stuff like that, where you're moved as close as you possibly can to the steering wheel, that's fine if that's how you like to drive, but when we pull your vehicle in the shop, that seat is not going to be like that when you get it back. So don't get upset when you have to readjust your seat. I'm not going to remember where your seat position is supposed to go, and I'm not even going to try to attempt to do so. So make sure that you are conscious of that. We've had customers that end up upset because we move their seat or something like that, and they have to put their seat back. Well, that's not really my problem. I have to work on their vehicle, and if I have to drive it in and I can't fit in the vehicle, I'm going to move the seat to have to put it in. Just understand that your stuff is going to get moved and it's going to be out of place, and if we have to test drive it, we're going to move your mirrors and your rear view mirror and all that stuff so we can be safe driving your vehicle in a safe manner. So don't get upset when you get your vehicle back and that stuff's moved. And if you can, just go ahead and move the seat for us, so whenever we get to the vehicle, we don't feel so bad doing it and try to force our big bodies in these little tight spots and end up. I've seen technicians try to not touch a customer's seats and the way they have things set so they don't get upset, but in the meantime go to squeeze in the vehicle and break the turn signal selector or knock something off that was a specific way that the customer always had there, for years or something. So be conscious of that and try to help us out sometimes if you would. That would be great. And so if you're a recreational drug user, we're not going to complain about what you do in your vehicle, but this is something that's like almost never said. We don't necessarily always want to partake in smelling what you have going on in your vehicle. It's kind of like a slap in the face to us that you want to partake in the festivities and stuff and then bring it to the dealer right away, and then we have to sit there and breathe something that we may not be comfortable breathing. So if you do that kind of stuff, by all means, I'm not judging you. Give it some time to air out before you bring it into the dealer, because we're not a huge fan. A lot of us are not a huge fan of having to sit there and smell skunk the entire time while we're working. Some of us like it, some of us don't. I personally like the smell, but I find it kind of disrespectful when a customer comes to my place of business and the vehicle reeks and you can smell it 3 stalls over, and technicians are coming, out of their areas where they work just to figure out kind of where that smell's coming from. It's embarrassing. And even though I like the smell, everybody doesn't like the smell. It's somewhat disrespectful. I had a gentleman come in with a big old Super Duty from out of state, and you guys, some of you know the story. And he had a bottle of pills inside the truck that wasn't necessarily legal to have, I don't think. I think it was some kind of major drug. And he was really worried after he left the dealership that those drugs weren't in his truck anymore, and he wanted to know where I was working so he could come look and see possibly where those drugs fell out. And I think it had something, I think it was like ecstasy or something like that, because the guy, I ended up finding the bottle that fell out from next to the seat where he had it tucked when I opened the door right next to my stall. Take that stuff out. That's your own personal business. That really shouldn't be in your vehicle anyway. Not when you're out in public and doing things it's illegal to have anyhow. But don't bring it to the dealership. That's not my responsibility. I could literally turn you away and say, go get your service somewhere else, not here. Take your drugs out of the vehicle. When you bring the vehicle into the dealership and you got broken windows, which a lot of people have broken windows, a lot of times when we go to pull the vehicle into the dealership, we'll try to roll the window down some for several reasons. One, the main reason is we roll the window down so if we leave the keys in the vehicle and the door's locked, we can unlock the doors. So one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to roll the window down. It's creature, it's what would you call it, creature, a habit. And if you don't tell us the window's broken or something's going on with it and we don't see you've got it rigged up some kind of way, we're probably going to break the window worse, or we're going to be back in a situation where we're going to have to charge you to fix the window and you had it rigged up a specific way to where it wasn't a problem. So always disclose that information to us, because we don't want to piss you off, and we don't want to have to go through the frustration of trying to rig up somebody's window, especially that's more labor and time put into something that we're not getting paid for, because we're probably just going to take some duct tape and say fuck it and just duct tape the window up, and that's probably something you're not going to want. When you bring the vehicle to the dealership, don't have the radio cranked up all the way. I know sometimes people think that well, it has to go through the service drive anyway. There's going to be a porter that pulls the vehicle out and parks it anyhow. That's not always the case. The way you get out of the vehicle and shut it off and get out to go to the waiting room and tell the service writer what you want done to your vehicle is actually going to be the way sometimes that we pick it up. Because a lot of times when we don't have work that's already in our stall, we'll actually come to the front real quick when we see customers come in and try to pull the vehicle in right away, so you're not waiting longer. And if I get in that vehicle and I go to start it, the stereo's blaring and it's like, we hate that. Just turn it off or turn it down. Don't leave it all cranked, on 10 all the time. Just turn it down whenever you bring it to the shop. That would be nice and courteous if you did that, and we would respect that even more. Another thing is you don't tell us the truth on what happened to your vehicle. We want to know exactly what happened to your vehicle. We want to know how it got broke. We want to know what you experienced when you're experiencing it. We don't want you to try to hide things from us, because it could make the situation 10 times worse. when we're trying to figure out what's going on, because a lot of times what you guys tell us is exactly what leads us in the right direction to fix the vehicle, and it saves you a lot of money because now we're not chasing our tail and just assuming and guessing. A lot of people lie about things. You know, they were out partying or something like that. You know, I had a guy come to me and he said, dude, I was out partying. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I started the vehicle, I went back in the house, I put the key down to my Mustang, I went back out to the vehicle, I put it in drive, and I took off. I don't know what happened. He said, and I don't know where the extra key was. And I woke up this morning and I have no recollection of where I put that key down. Did it make it back in the car? Did it not make it back in the car? Where's my spare key? And he said, I shut the vehicle off when I got home, and now I can't start the vehicle anymore, so I had to have it towed to your dealership so you can try to get it going for me. Give me a couple keys program, which is $400 or $500 later. You know, a couple keys, $150 a key, a couple hours labor to get through the security system to program these new keys. Just be honest with us about it. Be honest with us about your service history, what's been done previously. Don't tell us stories and stuff and lie to us and try to pin us against other dealerships or shops that have worked on your vehicle that have been unsuccessful with the repairs. Just shoot us straight. Don't try to get us drawn into a bunch of drama. And just don't lie about what happened whenever you bring your vehicles in. Y'all be blessed. Have a great week. Be safe. Have a productive week. And I hope this helps you.